The Russian is no stranger to Doha. He started strongly, winning the opening set 6-1. But despite a knee injury, Jakovic fought back to level the match 6-2. A tumble in the third didn't help her cause, though, as the second seed Zvonareva sealed it 6-4 to make her second quarter-final.
The world #1 Caroline Wozniacki is through to the final. The Dane will be facing a tough challenge from second seed Vera Zvonareva on Saturday. Sana Hamouche, Al Jazeera, Doha.
Well, the men are in Dubai at the moment, where the organisers have got their dream final of Roger Federer against Novak Djokovic, the Swiss top seed, with a semi-final winner on Friday against Richard Gasquet. Well, having won the first set, Federer was threatened briefly when Gasquet broke to lead 5-3 in the second, but he failed to serve out the set when he attempted this soft drop shot that fell short on break point. The Frenchman netted a forehand to give Federer a further break to lead 6-5, and then he proceeded to do exactly the same thing on match point as Federer goes through to the final. Slightly tougher outing for Novak Djokovic. He was playing third seed Thomas Berdych in his semi-final. Berdych took the first set in this one on a tie-break. Djokovic came back in the second to win it 6-2 and level the match. Then in the decider, Djokovic was leading 4-2, but Berdych was forced to retire through injury. In the NBA, the Miami Heat beat the Washington Wizards. Washington had a 5-point lead in the opening 12 minutes of this game. But then the Heat, Dwayne Wade took over. He scored 18 of Miami's first 19 points. Wizards did manage to come back within a point in the third quarter, but Wade took over yet again. He scored a total of 41 for the host, leading the Heat to a 121-113. That's it. Same old.
Raoul, thanks very much indeed. We'll take a short break. Back again in a couple of minutes with much more on the unrest in Libya, including these scenes from Tripoli Airport, where thousands of people are trying to get out.
The first Green Building Solutions Conference and Exhibition, Doha 2011. A unique opportunity to showcase your eco-friendly solutions. Don't miss this great opportunity to showcase your know-how and products. Come and join us.
If you're a Nokia user, you can download AlJazeera's news widget from Nokia's Ovi store. The news widget, available on compatible Nokia devices, gives users quick and easy access to real-time news updates from Al Jazeera English. See the world in real time. Al Jazeera Mobile.
الآن ليست هناك إلا بعض طرابلس وبعض المدن.
Now there is only Tripoli and a few other towns in Gaddafi's hands. That is why I urge the Libyan people that there is no going back.
Losing control. Libya's former Interior Minister tells Al Jazeera Tripoli is the only major city left under Gaddafi control. Hello and welcome to the programme. I'm Taimur Nabili, live in Doha. Other headlines: targeting Gaddafi, the US imposes sanctions on Libya's government, and the UN's Security Council is also pressuring to take action. Hundreds of foreign nationals try to escape the turmoil in Libya, many of them describing what they have seen as horrifying. Refinery forcing the facility to shut down. Now, Libya's longtime ruler Muammar Gaddafi has once again made a defiant address to his people, vowing that he will not be stepping down. This despite apparent growing support for anti-government demonstrators both at home and abroad. Now, the UN Security Council is to meet again on Saturday to follow up its draft resolution calling for sanctions against Gaddafi and his regime. But the Libyan leader is still defiant. He joined his supporters in the capital again, vowing that he will not step down and that he will fight on to the end. The consequences of that vow are already being seen on the streets of Tripoli. Protesters fired upon as another crackdown began after Friday prayers. Just 50 kilometers away, though, in Zawiya, there was a different picture emerging. This amateur video appearing to show more soldiers defecting from Gaddafi and joining forces with the protesters. Now, the ongoing protests in Libya mean that the picture on the ground is changing rapidly. Tripoli, as we hear from the Interior Minister, seemingly the last major city that is a stronghold of Gaddafi supporters. On Friday, as we told you, the Libyan leader vowed to crush any enemies while he was speaking in Green Square. Now, residents say that parts of Tripoli may already be beyond his control. As many as 7 people were killed on the streets on Friday after a crackdown by Gaddafi forces. And evacuations are continuing from the capital's ferry port, and there are thousands of foreigners queuing up outside the airport as well, desperate to get out. And here's the key area of Tripoli, Gaddafi's compound, Bab al-Aziza. It's said to be heavily fortified. Al Jazeera's Dan Nolan has more.
The battle for Libya is most intense in the capital. This video, uploaded on YouTube, is said to be filmed in the Fashloum district of Tripoli on Friday night. Al Jazeera cannot verify the online descriptions that say these are soldiers kidnapping the bodies of 2 anti-government protesters. But it seems clear the people of Tripoli have endured yet another sleepless night. With much of eastern Libya in the hands of the opposition, the calls to take control of Tripoli from Muammar Gaddafi are growing louder. This from his former Interior Minister.
Now there's only Tripoli and a few other towns left. That's why I urge the Libyan people that there's no going back. Going back's impossible. We have to move forward. All the patriotic, courageous and respected Libyan youth should help the people of Tripoli to carry out their duties.
Another online video, which cannot be independently verified, appears to show more soldiers joining the fight on the side of the protesters. This is said to be filmed in Zawiya, 50 kilometres to the west of the capital, as the tide of opposition spreads through the military. This from Libya's head of special forces.
I place all my expertise and capabilities at the service of the youth revolution. I urge all honest members of the special forces, officers and soldiers, the heroes whom I've worked with for a long time, to rejoin their units immediately and to protect the gains of the February 17th revolution and protect the lives of the Libyan people and their property.
There's no exact figures, but it's believed as many as 7 protesters were shot dead during Friday's battles in Tripoli. Colonel Gaddafi appeared on state television in front of supporters in Green Square, insisting the population was still behind him.
The Libyan people, if I'm not loved by my people, I don't deserve to live. If my people, the Arab and African peoples, and all peoples do not love Muammar al-Gaddafi does not deserve to live only for one day.
But he simply ignores scenes like this in Benghazi, as the Libyan masses turn out to say the 41-year reign of Muammar Gaddafi needs to end now. Dan Nolan, Al Jazeera.
Well, let's go to the east of Libya. Our correspondent Hoda Abdelhamid is in El Baida. Hoda, what's the situation where you are today?
Well, I think it is a situation of transition. People here would tell you that the area has been liberated, but on the other side, the security is very volatile. You still have incidents of people captured. Now, local authorities tell us that those are infiltrators, and what they mean by that word, those are who are acting under the orders of Tripoli. As a matter of fact, 5 of them were arrested last night here in the center. And I think that gives you an indication that things are still not stable. There is a will from the local populations, whether it's in Baida, in Derna, and further to try to control, especially urban areas. You do have people controlling the streets. make sure no strangers are coming in, but they are still coming in, and there is a risk that chaos could come.
Given what we're hearing in Tripoli and the kind of action that we saw after Friday prayers, it's not surprising that people are still nervous. But the very fact that you are out in the open talking to us now in Vision would suggest that we've come a long way from even 24 hours ago.
We certainly did a long way. Certainly, the fact that there's news that other parts of the country, specifically in the West, have fallen into the hands of the opposition or are now under the control of the opposition is something that's making people here feel stronger about it. There is a certain belief that basically the news is tightening against the around Gaddafi regime, that his control is basically now in the Tripoli area and in his hometown. But there's also belief that he still holds a lot of power. He still controlled several brigades called the Khamis brigades and the Messiah brigades. Now those are basically special forces which our commanders here told me are actually much better trained and much better equipped than the regular army. So even though people are slightly positive that maybe this time they will reach their aim, and that could be quite soon, they do also believe that
Abdelhamid in Beida, thank you. Now, the United Nations Security Council released a draft resolution on Friday calling for action after the violence. During the meeting, Libya's UN on Gaddafi, denouncing the man that he'd called his friend just 3 days earlier. Mohammed Shalgam criticized the attacks on civilians in an emotional speech and said he couldn't believe the violence that the leader has been inflicting on his own people. And the UN's chief, Ban Ki-moon, has also urged that the UN should act right away. He gave this description of what he's heard about the violence.
Estimates indicate that more than 1,000 people have been killed. To be under the control of opposition elements who have taken over arms and ammunition from weapon depot. There are daily clashes in at least 3 cities near Tripoli. The streets of the capital are largely deserted. People cannot leave their houses for fear of being shot by government forces or militias. Colonel Gaddafi's supporters are reportedly conducting house-by-house searches and arrests. According to some reports, they have even gone into hospitals to kill wounded opponents.
Well, our correspondent Scott Heidler has been following the events at the UN headquarters in New York.
After a briefing by Secretary General Ban Ki-moon,